Yo, welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the second channel. Today we're going to do a video looking at all of the best decks in the recent online tourneys. Of course, with the World Championships coming up, it's pretty important to take a look at what the online tourney scene is looking like right now and what decks are doing good in online tourneys. Of course, we have 3 tournaments to kind of look at here, and we can kind of get a gauge as to what the best decks in the format are right now, again, as we slowly approach World. So we got the late night 117, late night 118, and the deck out Monday's tourney. These were the most recent tournaments that were large enough to count. So late night tourney, of course, late night 117. We can take a look here. And in first place, we got a Lost Tina deck. So Lost Tina has kind of been on a bit of a run recently. I've been noticing in online tourneys. Not only has Lost Tina been on a run, but so has Arc Tina. But Lost Tina especially has been kind of putting up a bit of a performance recently. The deck is just a pretty good comeback deck. I think the other thing that makes Lost Tina good is it has a pretty good matchup against the Arceus variant. So we see this build here plays 4 Cross Switcher. So really trying to capitalize on the switch effect of Cross Switcher and being able to have that extra bit of guts. Only having 1 boss and the 1 Roxanne, 1 Iono, the 2 Path. But it is a pretty clean Giratina list. Definitely doesn't look bad at all. And Giratina is just very strong. And then in second place, we got Single Strike Lugia with Urshifu and playing a Radiant Gardevoir. I'm not sure what matchup the Gardevoir is for. Gardevoir, I guess, makes Tyranitar even more bulkier with V-Guard energy, and then T-Tar has 280 HP effectively, which is kind of nice. I guess it's okay with Urshifu VMAX too, in some regards. And Lugia, I guess it works with Lugia too. I'm not sure what it's for, though, but it definitely isn't terrible. This is a pretty simple Lugia list. Otherwise, playing the Urshifu, just because Duraludon's doing pretty well right now. We got Rapid Strike in third place. This one does play a Squawkabilly and a Drapion, so pretty clean. I definitely think Drapion is not bad in Rapid Strike. It really depends on whether or not you want to take the L to Mew or not. If you want to just have a bad Mew matchup, don't play Drapion or Spiritomb, but if you want to, maybe put up a fight against Mew, play it. Interesting about this list, it doesn't play any Lumineon. It's actually just playing for research. A Squawkabilly in the deck, though, kind of is an interesting inclusion for sure. So definitely a bit of an interesting Rapid Strike list here. Don't hate it, though. Definitely don't hate it. No Irida, actually. This list plays no Irida. I just realized, yeah. No Irida is definitely a bit of an odd choice, considering Irida is really good to find retrievals and battle VIP passes, but I guess because you have the Squawkabilly you can set up, it's interesting. Yeah, no Irida in Rapid Strike. Definitely an interesting. I mean, it did get third place out of 200 players. And we got Palkia actually in top 4. Now, this is actually not a Baxcalibur deck playing Shampoo. This is just Palkia playing Shampoo's because Shampoo's ability allows you to find water energy into your hand like you would play with Capacious Bucket. So, really interesting list playing 4 Irida, 4 Iono, 2 Melanie, 4 Lost City, Clone and Cross Switcher, so really trying to abuse Radiant Greninja. There's a lot of switch. As you can see, this deck plays 5 normal switching cards and the double Cross Switcher, mainly just to try to abuse the Shampoo's ability as much as you can. You're not really ever able to attack with Shampoo in this deck, unless you Star Portal with it, so kind of abusing the multiple switch is nice, because you can just promote Shampoo, get 2 energy out of your deck, and then switch it into Palkia. And it did get top 4, which is really cool. Then we got Mew here in top 8. Really interesting, just playing Fusion Mew without playing Meloetta. So this is definitely a bit of an oddball list here. Also not playing any Ice Cube to try to go after Spiritomb as easily, but definitely an interesting list. The Bravery Charm's kind of cool, giving Deoxys a bit more tank. The Path, no Lost City. Very interesting Mew list. This is definitely an interesting Mew deck for sure. It's Fusion Mew without the Meloetta. We got another Palkia deck here in top 8. This one is very similar to the other one, except it does have more things going on. We see the Starmie V, we see the Squawkabilly, the Suicune V. Starmie V's, I guess, kind of cute against something like Duraludon. The list plays double Bravery Charm. So you can put Bravery Charm on Starmie, and then Starmie can't get killed by Duraludon. And it's kind of bulky against Duraludon. And the double Suicune is interesting. I'm not sold on double Suicune, though, because Palkia is the better attacker. Yeah, honestly, I'm a little confused on the double Suicune, to be honest. There's not much draw in the deck. There's 1 Roxanne and 4 Melanie, but there's no Iono or anything, no research, which is odd. I don't know. The double Suicune is definitely a bit of an interesting one. Like, I do feel like at that point, just play a 3-3 Palkia, but I guess, like, Suicune can attack turn 1. I think that's the logic behind the Suicune is you can attack turn 1, put pressure on your opponent. I don't hate it, I guess? I don't know. Interesting choice there, but it did get top 8, so what can I say? We got a Baxcalibur Xianpao deck here in top 8 using Arceus VSTAR. The idea behind Arceus is that it does have Starbirth, which can get you either Cologne Cross-Switcher pieces to go for Greninja, or sometimes lets you get Rare Candy Baxcalibur if you, like, desperately need it. For the most part, though, you're using Arceus to try to pull off a Greninja play. Yeah. Xianpao doing Xianpao things, getting top 8. It seems that Arceus is just better than Palkia. And then to round things out, we got a Lost Box deck. It's Turbo Lost Box, yeah, with a Temple of Sinnoh and a Pidgeot, so, and double Roxanne. That's very interesting. Triple Sableye, too. Interesting. Another interesting list. We got Lost Goodra in 9th place. So Goodra's kind of a weird deck. So the problem with Goodra is that Goodra kind of fell off once people realized it loses to, like, Gardevoir. Lost Box Kyogre usually was able to beat Goodra too, but Goodra definitely is maybe another one of those, like, sleeper decks right now that, with the way the meta is right now, Goodra could kind of pop back into the meta. Like, I'm not surprised to see Goodra do well. I do feel like Goodra is one of those decks that can kind of go in and out of phases. This list is interesting. Plays a lot of supporters. 4 Colress, 3 Boss, 2 Iono, 2 Melanie, 1 Raihan. A lot of supporters alongside the Zamazenta, but yeah, I'm not surprised to see Goodra do well. Getting 9th place is definitely interesting for sure. We got another Lost Tina doing pretty well. Yeah, pretty straightforward list with the double Roxanne, 1 Iono, no cross switcher, unlike the first place list. We got Mew here at 11th place. This is actually the double Turbo Mew deck, so it's double Turbo Mew with a Fusion Energy. The Fusion Energy is literally just for Genesect. If your opponent puts a Spiritomb in play, you can attach Fusion Energy to Genesect, and you can draw cards. That's basically why that's in here. I don't hate it. It doesn't seem like a bad way to play double Turbo Mew, to be honest. Because, yeah, you do have the Fusion Energy, which does let you play around Spiritomb a little bit. We got Fusion Mew, though, also in top 16. This one does play the Ice Cube to try to counter the Spiritomb a bit harder. Yeah, pretty straightforward Fusion Mew list here, obviously. And we got another Rapid Strike deck in top 16. This one is a bit more similar to Cyrus's list. Does play a Spiritomb. So, again, trying to respect the Mew matchup. Spiritomb is not a great answer to Mew. Like, it's not like Drapion. I feel like Drapion ultimately stronger, but Drapion's also just a weaker card in general. Spiritomb at least gives you value in a lot more situations than Drapion does. So, that's probably the logic behind playing Spiritomb over the Drapion. And then we got an Arceus Goodra deck here in top 16. Now, this is a deck that is definitely an interesting idea. So, this build is pretty teched out, but it definitely seems okay in the meta. So, 2 Goodras in top 16 is kind of showing that Goodra is kind of on the come up again in the online tourney scene. We see it is Arc Goo, so using Arceus to build Goodra up. With Arceus, sometimes you don't get to use Moisture Star, which is a big deal, right? Not being able to use Moisture Star can sometimes be a big deal, but this build here does play 4 Colress, 3 Iono, 1 Judge, so very much not playing any Professor's Research, just trying to abuse better draw cards in some scenarios. Colress and Iono and Judge. It's got the Melanie in there. The double Panic Mask is definitely interesting. So, against Gardevoir, if you put a Panic Mask on a Goodra, technically they can't do anything against it. Like, they can put, like, 3 energy on, like a Zacian. Like, I guess they can still attack you, but they're never able to one-shot your Goodra. That's the idea behind the double Panic Mask, is it basically means that they are never one-hit KOing your Goodra with a Panic Mask on. Because you put Panic Mask on, Zacian cannot one-shot Goodra, which is really good. Unless you get, like, insanely lucky with, like, Shining Arcana, which I guess is possible. Like, it's not impossible, but it's very unlikely that Goodra gets KO'd by a Zacian in one hit with a Panic Mask on. That's the idea behind playing in the Panic Masks, which I do like this build. It's definitely a good anti-meta deck. The 1/1 Bibarel is kind of cute. I feel like at that point, though, like, what if you just didn't play Bibarel? Like, what if you just played Arceus Goodra and you just built it like Arcdura? I mean, I'm not saying play Umbreon. I think Umbreon would be pretty terrible in here. Flying Pikachu would not be as bad, or maybe something a bit odd, like a fighting attacker. But overall, I do like the idea. It is, I guess it is sort of similar to the Duraludon deck. It's only one Bibarel. It's not playing two Bibarel and like a Squovit with like heavy Judge. It only plays one Judge, so I really like this list. I really like this. I think Argudra is definitely a deck that could make a comeback in the format, in all honesty. And it did pretty well, which is nice. We got Gardevoir. First Gardevoir deck we've seen in the top 16. Gardevoir isn't falling off, but I feel like it's not doing as well because less people are just inclined to play it. It still is, in my opinion, a deck to beat right now. Like, when you're building a deck, you have to keep Gardevoir in mind. Like, Gardevoir, just because in this tournament it didn't get top 8, doesn't mean that Gardevoir's falling off. Like, Gardevoir is still very much, like, one of the best decks in the format right now. And we see this build here, very straightforward Guardy build, with the Lumineon in the deck. And then we see another Lost Tina in top 16. This one does play a Canceling Cologne, which is interesting, trying to abuse Greninja a little bit harder alongside the double boss. And in 17th place, we got an Arc deck here. Very interesting Arc pile. This is Arceus. It's like a pure Arceus Disruption deck with 4 hammers, 1 Fan of Waves, and a Stoutland V. So Stoutland KOs a basic, you get an extra prize. So the idea behind Stoutland is you put Cleansing Gloves on it, and then Stoutland can do 70 damage to a Comfey. Pretty sure that's why Stoutland's in the deck. Honestly, not a bad idea against Lost Box, because again, you can knock out Comfeys with Stoutland and take 2 prizes for doing that, which is kind of cute. Definitely an interesting Arceus deck here. It's like a pure Arc deck, and I feel like the idea of like a pure Arc deck has potential right now in the format, especially with like Path of Peak and stuff. And the Mawile is pretty good against Gardevoir. We see a second Gardevoir deck here in the top 20. This one, again, pretty straightforward build of Guardy. Not much really to write home about against that. And then to round out the top 20, there's 2 more Lost Tina decks here. Again, Lost Tina could be like a product of the online tourney scene where it's like IRL, the deck doesn't do as well, but then in the online tourneys, it just like wins tournaments for whatever reason. So definitely an interesting development in the meta for sure. But that was late night number 117. There's other decks here to look at, obviously, but that was late night 117. We got late night 118 to look at here. And there was a very interesting deck that got top 4. So the winner of the tournament was, of course, Turbo Lost Box. Probably to nobody's surprise, this build does have the Bravery Charm technology. Bravery Charm is actually really good against Arcdura. Against Arcdura, you can put Bravery Charm on Dragonite, and Dragonite can't get 1-hit KO'd by Duraludon with a Bravery Charm on, because Bravery Charm gives Dragonite 280 HP, which gives it enough HP to take a hit from Duraludon, or Arceus Choice Belt, or even Duraludon Belt. So Dragonite is really good against Arcdura, and the Bravery Charm Dragonite combo is very good against Arcdura. And they won the tourney with it. We got another Lost Box deck in second place, another Turbo deck. But the big story with this late night was Gengar VMAX got top 4. Yeah, Gengar VMAX. Now, this deck is really cool. I did a video on this style of Gengar, Bibarel, Houndoom, Iono, Judge Path. I did a video on this already. And back when I did a video on it, I even realized the potential of this deck in the right format. And I think we are in the right format. Mew's popular. Gengar isn't terrible against Gardevoir. You can actually attack with Houndoom in the Gardevoir matchup, which is very valuable. And I think this deck actually just farms Arceus decks. That's, in my opinion, the takeaway from this Gengar single strike deck. I think this deck has a really good matchup against Arceus decks. So if you are to play this Gengar deck here, you're going to have a pretty good time versus Arceus VSTAR, because Judge Path and Iono Path against Arceus is good, but not only is it good, Gengar just 1-hit KOs every big attacker in Arc decks. Like, Gengar does so much damage, and it's just one-shotting Arceus all the livelong day. The other thing with this deck, I mean, I don't even know this deck can lose to Mew. As long as you don't get donked, I think this deck just easily just farms Mew. So the fact this got top 4 is really, really cool. Exciting to see a Gengar deck at top 4. Again, very similar to the build that I did. I'm not saying that I inspired the deck or anything. I'm just saying that when I did a video on this deck in the Scarlet Violet format, I realized the potential of a deck like this, and I think we are in the right format where, well, this deck probably just loses to Lost Box. Well, does it even lose Lost Box? Maybe it doesn't even. I don't even know if it loses Lost Box, to be honest. But like, the fact is, a deck like this, I think, is actually good in the format right now due to the amount of Arceus there is. And that's kind of the selling point of Gengar. We got Xiampao in top 16 too. This one does play Palkia, not playing Arceus, so good note. We got Arctina in top 8 here. Arctina's pretty good right now. This one does play a Dunsparce. I feel like that was kind of just like a meta call to try to counter any funny Pokemon that people try to tech to try to beat Arceus, but I don't know if you need Dunsparce and Arctina, but I do like this list. Very, very straightforward Arctina deck here. We got another Lost Tina deck. Again, a lot of Giratina running these online tourneys, which, again, I don't know if that's a product of the deck itself or if it's just kind of a thing that just, whatever. You know what I mean? We do have another Tina deck here in 9th place with the 3-path. Again, Tina just seems to do well in online tourneys for whatever reason. We got another Lost Box deck. It is Turbo Lost Box with the Kyogre. So once again, Kyogre starting to pop back up. I actually see this deck was piloted by Andrew Hedrick. So obviously one of the best players in the world. Playing a deck that nobody really plays anymore. We got a Miraidon deck in top 16. Again, I'm not surprised with the way the meta is right now. Miraidon's a deck that probably can easily just sneak into like top 16s whenever, because it is honestly not a terrible deck. I think that with the right technology, with this deck does play the technology. We got the Tomb, the Vacuum, the Bravery Charm. Bravery Charm is really good. Avery and 3-path. Now, that's the biggest like weird moment with this list is it does play 3-path the peak, but Path is showing off your fleet-footed and your tandem unit. It is giving you a better time into matchups like Gardevoir and Arceus. And I'll tell you right now, I played against a Miraidon deck using Path of Peak at my locals on Friday. I was playing the Arceus Sylveon deck I did a video on. And I lost because Path of Peak would not let me do Starbirth because I couldn't find my lost cities. So I don't hate this. I don't hate this idea of a bit more of like a techier Miraidon. Instead of like a straightforward Miraidon, playing a bit more of a techier build to try to have a better time into certain matchups, I think actually does give this deck some justice, especially with the ability to donk your opponent. On top of the disruption, I don't hate it. We got Professor Poke here, getting top 16 with a Fusion Mew deck. Fusion Mew just doing Fusion Mew things. Even with Tomb in the format, we got yet another Shampoo deck. Playing a Mew in the deck to try to help you get the items. The deck does play a lot of items. You got the Cross Switchers, the Colognes, the Candies. Don't hate this list at all. Kind of a go-all-in deck. Does play the Arceus too. Again, Starbirth is really good to try to find your Greninja pieces. We got another Arc deck here. This one is an Arceus pile deck. Now, this one is sort of similar to Michael Catron's deck, except it's not playing the Flying Pikachu. It's actually doubling down on the Slack Kings and playing 2 copies of Slack King. Again, Slack King, pretty good card. I did a video on it recently. It's a pretty strong card here in the meta against Arceus. Can one-hit KO your opponent with Belt. The Alakazam also lets you set up numbers. Got the Medicham, the Umbreon. I do like this. I like this Arc deck quite a bit. It did get top, it got top 16? Yeah, it got top 16. Pretty cool Arc deck. And then we got double Arcdura deck here in top 16. Again, Arcdura is really good. I've seen some, like, debate right now as to whether or not Duraludon is even worth playing, because it's like, what's the point of playing Duraludon when there's just other better attackers like the Slack King, the Pikachu, Umbreon, the Giratina, other than giving you, like, a decent Lugia matchup? What's the point of Duraludon? Duraludon, you got to keep in mind, Duraludon is a very powerful card. Just because like you're playing against a deck that plays Special Energy doesn't mean Duraludon's not good. Being able to do 220 damage, one-hit KOing Vs, and also having a lot of HP and making it a little awkward to play against does give Duraludon some validity, in my opinion. And it's no surprise that Arcdura is still kind of popping off here and there. There's actually 2 Arcdura decks in top 16 back-to-back. Both builds are pretty similar. Just kind of give or take how you want to build your Arcdura deck. Whether or not you want to play more draw on the deck or you want to play a little bit more of the disruption. Because we have seen the Arcdura deck. So this build here plays a Judge. I'm not a fan of Judge in Arcdura because you play the Judge, you'll brick yourself a lot of the time, right? Unless your opponent Ionos you or something. The following turn, you get luckier. You top deck or you get a prize. But I'm not a fan of Judge and Arcdura. I do get the reason why it's in there. Personally, I wouldn't play it, but I can see why it's in there. We got a Rapid Strike deck doing pretty well here. Pretty similar to Cyrus's list. Again, with that one of Spiritomb. We got a Sableye Cramsar deck doing well. Now, this is actually a deck that I think is very slept on right now. Now, Charizard is definitely susceptible to Path and Lost City, which are both popular right now in the format, but the reason why I think Sableye Cramsart is good is because I think the deck is very straightforward, and it does what it's supposed to do very nicely. It's honestly not hard to... I mean, it's maybe hard to pilot in terms of, like, damage manipulation, but I think if this deck is ever going to be good, I think it would be good right now. Because if, like, Shampoo's not playing Lost City, if Arcdura isn't doing as well as it could be, and these other Arc decks are just playing Path. I think this deck is fantastic in the format right now. I do like the idea of playing Milotic. I've seen Pedro Torres. He showcased a list that he used to win a League Cup. He was like, he had Luxray, Reversal Energy, and a 1/1 Milotic in the deck so that you can't get Iono. I feel like this deck is really good in a format where Iono is not as popular, or if you have a way to beat Iono. This deck actually seems like a pretty good deck. I like it a lot. We got Arc Regidrago in top 20. People really putting respect on Arc Drago now that it did do pretty well and win NEIC in the juniors division. Definitely not a fluke. This deck definitely has legs, and we can see it here doing well in the late night. I think we saw there's another Arc Drago deck, I think, in the other late night tourney that was a bit lower that I didn't get to cover. But yeah, with the Curlia Gallade engine, basically the same thing as Drake's List from NEIC. And I think the deck, I think it's got legs, man. I think it's got legs for sure. And we got another Lost Tina deck doing well here with the Roxannes and the Disruption and stuff. We do see some other decks here. I guess we can look at this Arc deck here that Tate played. Yeah, okay, I saw this. I saw this on Twitter. So this is an Arc pile deck. And you could whether or not chalk this up as it's a meme or not, but the idea of playing Arc Umbreon Pikachu with a Lucario isn't terrible. Pikachu is not bad right now in the format, and Lucario is mainly just here for the Arceus mirror matches. You play against an Arc mirror. You just go Lucario, and you just one-shot 2 Arceus with Lucario, and you should win the prize trade at that point. Plays Lost City Path. I mean, it's an Arc Pile deck, but I like my Arc Pile decks, and Lucario honestly isn't a terrible attacker. I think a fighting Pokemon in Arceus right now genuinely has potential. Next up, we got the Deck Out Monday tournament here, which was the second biggest tournament beside the late night tourney this week so far. We got Lost Tina once again winning. I don't know what it is, man. Lost Tina just seems to be very good in online tourneys, winning all these online tourneys, bro. It's farming the Mickeys. We got another Arc Tina deck here. We saw Lost Tina, now we got Arc Tina here. Very straightforward Arc Tina list, no technology, no Pikachu, no Dunsparce, no Umbreon. We got Turbo Lost Box getting 3rd place. Again, it's Turbo Lost Box, you know. We got Meloetta Mew again. Fusion Mew doing pretty well. Yeah, Fusion Mew, once again, doing pretty well. Pretty good deck. Definitely don't think it's terrible. We got another Arc Tina in top 8. Arc Tina definitely just doing pretty good. I mean, Tina itself is just really good right now, right? It's doing pretty well in all these online tourneys, and we do see Arc Tina do pretty well here, once again getting top 8 in this tournament. We got a Miraidon Regieleki deck in top 8. Another deck that fell off recently. I mean, obviously the Flaffy Miraidon deck is like universally agreed upon as the way to play Miraidon, but Regieleki isn't bad. I mean, against stuff like Giratina, it's probably really good because you can just one-hit KO the Giratinas with Miraidon, which is very valuable. That's one of the things that makes Arc Tina good and Lost Tina good is if you're not able to one-hit KO the Giratina, you just lose the prize trade so often because of Star Requiem and Lost Impact. But being able to one-hit KO them with Miraidon is good. I don't hate this list. Regieleki's sketchy because you're not going to use it that much against decks like Xianpao and, you know, maybe even like other decks that have a lot of ways to KO Regieleki. Like, I think against Gardevoir, Regieleki is really bad, but I do not hate Miraidon Regieleki. I think it actually does have some validity in the format right now. We got another Lost Tina doing well. A lot of Giratina, bro. Holy moly. And no surprise, round out the top 8 is another Arc Tina deck. So Giratina is insane. And again, that's why the Regieleki doesn't seem bad, bro. Like, it's good against Giratina. Interestingly enough, we got a Shadow Rider deck, but to look at that, we got Lugia to look at here. Single Strike Lugia with the 1/1 Urshifu for the Duraludon matchup. No surprise there. We got more Lost Tina. Again, Lost Tina runs the Mickeys. It runs the Mickeys because we got more just Lost Tinas doing good. It's crazy because this deck like always flops IRL. Like I guarantee you, Lost Tina is not going to get top 8 at Worlds, but it just farms these online tourneys. It's just kind of crazy, bro. It's kind of crazy. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of crazy. We got a Shadow Rider deck. I got to see this. Okay, this is definitely an interesting list. So I don't know if this is a meme or not. And yes, this tournament was a bit smaller. It's not like the late night where it's like built like an actual regional. This deck did do well, and it's an interesting idea. We got the double Clef Key to, you know, slow down Mew and Lost Box. Got the Espeon VMAX, which is not bad against Giratina, but Giratina plays Path, right? So that's why I don't know if Espeon's really good, because if Giratina says Path, who cares, right? And the 1/1 Mewtwo is kind of the big one. Now, this is honestly not a bad idea. Against Arceus, Mewtwo's not bad. I mean, Mewtwo can one-hit KO Arceus with, like, Choice Belt. Wait, this deck didn't even play Choice Belt. So what's the Mewtwo for? Actually, you know what? Mewtwo might not be bad against Arceus. You can go, like, against Arceus, you just Star Raid all their V Pokemon in play. and then you just one-hit kill them down the road. I actually don't hate that. You know what? Maybe this deck actually isn't bad against Arceus. Maybe there's something to the Shadow Rider deck, to be honest. Maybe there's something to it. More Lost Tina doing well. No surprise there. Arctina, again, holy moly, Giratinas. Okay, Arctina with a Shaman V-Star. I don't hate it. I mean, Shaman isn't a bad attacker in the late game. My problem with Shaman is it's very weak. 250 HP is kind of bad, but you know what? Maybe Shaman is good. It actually doesn't seem bad against Tyranitar. Maybe there is something to it. One of my problems with Arctina is that it has a pretty bad Lugia matchup. So if Lugia basically gets out of the Pathlock, they always beat Arctina. Unless they get really unlucky when they lose a bunch of urns. But I actually like the idea of Shaman and Arctina. That's an interesting idea. I do not hate it. It's pretty good against T-Tar. Yeah, we got Urshifu again. Rapid Strike doing well. Again, similar to Cyrus's list with the Spiritomb instead of what Cyrus played. And then top 16, we got another Xian Pow deck with an Arc and the Mew. And interestingly enough, we see the Goodra deck, the Arc Goodra. Now, this is not like the other build. This one is a Vulpix build. So Vulpix V-Star, good against a lot of decks, good against Xian Pow, and also pretty good against Gardevoir. So Arc Goo is definitely an interesting concept. This one is very interesting. There's some really crazy cards in here. We see Flannery, Volo, Serena, 2 Wasteland. So Calamitous Wasteland, wrong card. Calamitous Wasteland, the Retreat Cost of each basic non-funny Pokemon in play is 1 more. I'm not sure what the Wasteland is for, like what matchup it's supposed to be good in, but there's 2 of them. I guess it's good against, like, Mew. Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure what the Wasteland's for. I don't hate this list, though. I like it. I think, again, Arc Goo definitely seems like a sleeper deck. Do I like this build more than the other build? I feel like I like the other build a little bit more. Because I do think Goodra is actually not bad against Xianpao by itself. Because you do make Xianpao, especially when you have Path in the deck, you really make Xianpao have to extend to kill your Goodra, right? And I think that it's hard for Xianpao to take down 2 Goodras as long as you're constantly Iono/Judge Pathing them, because then it's hard for them to set up, right? So I think this deck is fine against Xianpao. I don't know about the Vulpix. I do like the other build with the Panic Mask Bibarel, but the Vulpix definitely is nice, and I don't hate it either. We got Arctina again in top 20. And we got another Lost Tina deck. A lot of Giratina, man. Holy schmole. And to round out the top 20, we got Connor Fitton here with a Tinglu EX deck. So Tinglu's another one of those sleeper decks where it's one of the people don't care about it, but it can kind of creep up and do well in tourneys because it's a deck that just wins games because it doesn't let your opponent play the game. And as you can see, there's kind of a bit of lack of Gardevoir in the meta, and I think that could really warrant Tinglu to do well because Tinglu, I think it's not bad against Gardevoir, but if they set up a Gardevoir EX, you just lose basically. But I do like Tinglu, and it's a really cool idea and really cool to see Connor do well with Tinglu and get top 20. And there you have it. That is the late night and the Deck Out Monday. These are the best decks in the format. It seems like Giratina right now is on top of the world, but we do see some pretty cool decks like Gengar VMAX slip in through the cracks. And the big development, of course, was a couple Goodra decks doing pretty well. So definitely an interesting development in the online tourney scene. I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on the meta right now. And I'm sure maybe next week we can take a look at the meta again, because it is pretty important to kind of look at these online tourneys as we lead in to the World Championships later in August. Hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe here down below to the second channel if you haven't already to help me on the road to reaching 7,000 subscribers. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.